Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brown Goose orientation class on moving the charts. Today, pretty simple. We're going to show you exactly how to move your charts around, how to move them up, down, left, right, squish them down, make them bigger, all the things that you need to do to see your charts better. So we're going to start with the basic chart, and don't worry if your charts are not lined up the exact same way that mine are. Today, we're going to just kind of show you how to move them up and down. You can always have your charts in different places. Now, one of the first things that I highly recommend is that you use an actual physical mouse. So looks like this. All right. And so it has two different, a right click and a left click and a roller. I highly, highly recommend if you don't have a mouse that you use one. It'll make your life 10 times easier. And everything that we're going to be describing today, we're going to be using a mouse. I'm going to say right click, left click. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, everything that I show you on this big main chart can be applied to the smaller charts. Okay, so for that purposes, we're mainly going to use this big chart. So just like every Word document, any Safari screen, any internet browser you've ever used, to be able to make the screen bigger or smaller, we're just going to drag left and right, and that way we kind of like squish out the rest of them. And same thing up above, we can make this bigger or smaller by grabbing just the tip of it. Now, if you want to move the whole screen, you're going to left click and in an open area near the top and simply move that left, right, up, or down. That's how you move the whole thing. But if you want to drag it, you need the edges. You need the arrow to essentially go sideways to be able to move it up, down, diagonal, up, however, which way you want to do it. Okay, so that's how you move the overall chart. Now, as we get into more of what we see here, in order to move the chart up and down, we're going to start here on the right-hand side where we see the numbers, and we're going to hit the control button and move this all the way down and all the way up, holding the control button. If we don't hold the control button, it will scrunch up. So if we hold the control button, we can move it all the way down and move it all the way up. We're essentially dragging it down and dragging it up, holding the control button and the left mouse to be able to move it up and down. Okay. Now, if we want to scrunch it, we take the left mouse button and we bring it down to make it smaller, or swish it in, and we drag it up to make it larger. So again, left button of the mouse to make it scrunch it up like that. And again, holding the left button and going up to make it nice and big. Okay. Now, same thing works going left to right. Right on the bottom here, you see times. This is the time of the day. So today is June 18th, around 8:35 Eastern, which is about 2021. So that's all of the numbers that we need are down here, are the dates and times of all of these things. Remember, the chart begins at 5 o'clock every single day, 5 o'clock Eastern time. So that's why you see this line right here. Because if you look, it's still the same day, it's still June 18th. But the new chart, the new day starts at 5 o'clock Eastern every single day. Now, in order to, let's go backwards. If we want to look at earlier in the day, we take our mouse, we'll hold the left button down, and we scroll to the right, and that's how we begin to scrunch it up. Okay, so if we ever want to make the chart smaller and scrunch it up, or have as much as we can in much of the day as possible on one screen, we would slide all the way to the left. On the opposite side, if we just went like the last hour, we would scroll all the way to the left. So again, holding down the left button, and we would stretch it out. We would stretch it out. This would give us much more if we're trying to look at like essentially the last hour from 20 to 21. Everything is nice and spread out for us. Okay. So again, if we want to see the last hour, we want to see a bigger picture, just the last hour in our screen, we'll scroll to the left. if we want to see the essentially like the last day, we'll hold down the left button on the mouse and scrunch it all the way to the right. And that way we'll be able to see as much of the day as possible. All on that one. And we can scrunch it as much as possible. Okay. Now, to move everything back to normal, you see this F button up here. Excuse me. Put that down. This F button will essentially return everything back to normal. Okay. So when it's scrunched up like that, or if we're stretching it out, right, stretch it out, stretch it out, stretch it out, and we need to get back to normal, you know, we might see the F button up here, and then it turns everything back to normal. The other thing you see up here is this arrow. This arrow gets us back to the most recent time of day. So again, it's 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to get this back to 8:30. We simply hit this button right here, and it'll automatically scroll us to the left margin. So, for example, if I'm all the way over here, and I'm all the way to the left, somehow I did something, I can hit this button up here, this arrow bar, and it'll immediately get me back to the last point. Okay. Now, let's say we want to move into the future. We want to just kind of have, we don't want our bars to be so scrunched up, and we want to have room to see where the market is going. Okay, so first thing we're doing is we're going to make sure we're all the way at the edge. Okay, and then what we're going to do is, because our mouse has a little spinner, we can spin it. I'm spinning it upwards, right? So the other way to do it is hold down the left button on the mouse and push up. Excuse me, push left to move it over. So you can use a spinner, or you can hold the left button and move it over. And that'll allow us to kind of see into the future. So as this market is continuing to move, right, we can see that the market, hold on a second. Let's stretch this out as much as possible. There we go. Right, so we can see that this market is, right, if I really, okay, let me show you what I'm doing actually. I want to see this last bar. I want to see this last bar as easily as possible. So what do I want to do to see this last bar as big as possible? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I want to make it big, right? So I'm holding down the left button and I'm scrolling up because I want it to be big and I want it to be wide. So what does that mean? I take the left button and I scroll out here. Hold on a second. Not stretching. Why is it not stretching? Try this again. So squeeze it down. There we go. Holding down. Holding down the button over here, and I'm stretching it out. So I want this bar to be as big as possible. So again, left button to move it back over. I'm going to make this bigger by holding the left button and make it and scrolling up. And the same thing to make it wider, moving it over, and see how that, now this one thing is super duper clear for me. Right? So let me show you that again. So I'm going to go back to normal. So I'm going to hit this F button to go back to normal. Oh, sorry. It just goes fixed scale. So if your computer looks like this, where it's all scrunched up, right? And we want to see this button. We want to see this bar down here. One of the things that we're going to do to make it bigger is, again, hold down the left button on this right-hand side on the numbers to make it bigger. And then same thing, we're going to drag it out a little bit. We're going to hold down the left button and drag it out We want to just stretch it out. Left button, pushing left. This drags us out. And now I can see this one bar. Now, why do you want to see this one bar? Because as the markets continue to move, it'll see that it'll grow up and down, right? And if you want to go back to seeing the entire charts all in one, hold down the left bar, scrunch it back up, and then now I can see the last couple hours together. If I want to make this smaller, again, hold down the left button, scrunch it in, and there we go. And that's essentially it. That's essentially how we move our charts up, down, sideways. That's how we make things look bigger, smaller, so on and so forth. If you have any questions, please reach out to your coach or to myself. Otherwise, I hope this helps answer all the questions as far as moving the charts. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.